Your leadership team is lying to you and you train them too. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. So 6 months before a certain CEO was fired, every vice president in the room knew that it was coming, okay? And they didn't say anything to this CEO, but they knew. And it wasn't a fear that kept them quiet. No, it was the math. And I'm going to explain to you exactly how that math works in this video today. Now, every leadership team has a function nobody puts on the organization chart. Let me explain. There is a function called filtering what reaches the CEO or what reaches you as the leader. And that function is not because of anything. It's not because people are dishonest. No, it is a function that you have placed, that you have created, because you built it with your behaviors along the way. This is how it happens, okay? So a vice president brings you a challenge or brings you a problem early, okay, while it's still not, it's small and fixable, okay? And they say to you, this is what it is. And they could come and you're stressed or something is going down, you've missed a couple of deadlines, and your first response is, why didn't you catch this earlier? And or, you could be irritated and you sigh or something. Now, maybe you don't yell, but that sigh is going to send a message, is going to tell them very, very quickly that bringing you problems has a cost to it. And that cost they're not willing to pay. So the next time they're going to wait. They're going to try and fix it themselves. They're going to, try and figure out, how do I fix this before it gets to the CEO? And now you're the CEO discovering problems only when they're too expensive because you have trained people not to bring you problems. Now, that is not a communication problem. That's a trained response, and the trainer is you. Now, when I go into organizations, I will always ask, how did you create that? Because the consensus answer usually is, oh, you got to build trust through vulnerability. And, many leadership books will tell you the same, own your mistakes, model openness, and, I've run a blameless postmortem. Now, all that is right. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's treating a symptom rather than the cause. Vulnerability workshops don't necessarily change the math your team is running every time. What does it cost me to take this to or to escalate? Now, the real fix to this is structure, and it happens in real time. And I want to challenge you, for the next 3 times that somebody brings something to you, I want you to respond differently. All right? Because your response is going to determine, or is going to begin to recalibrate, what people are comfortable bringing you and what people are not comfortable bringing you. I'll give you a real example in real time. I worked with an industrial services CEO, 140 employees, 38 million in revenue, and he genuinely believed he had an open door policy, whatever that means, okay? He said it in every meeting, every town hall, have an open door. But what he didn't see was his chief of operations had learned over 11 months of being in the job that raising issues during the leadership meeting was actually counterproductive. Why? Because this CEO was very good at answering questions, because they a fast thinker. They would answer questions quickly because they wanted to see that, they wanted to show that they're good at engagement and stuff like that. Now, to the CEO, every time he mentioned something and it was immediately dealt with, he felt that during those meetings when he raised issues, the CEO would always have a quick rebuttal and ask quick questions, which if the culture and the kind of leadership you have is used to that, it works great. But if it is not, you will get the scenario that I'm explaining. This CEO then assumed and or learned that bringing issues up in the open during a leadership meeting is going to get you exposed, because the CEO is fast thinking, is going to ask you questions, and if you're not ready, you're going to feel like, oh, I might have I might have brought up something that I shouldn't have brought up at the time. So to the CEO, it felt like engagement. But to the COO, it felt like exposure. Okay, so the COO did what human beings would do. He stopped raising things in the room. Now, he started trying to solve them again quietly with whatever resources he had. And it worked for a while. And then something happened. There was a vendor, there was a contract renewal that was supposed to happen. And one of those contracts that is crucial to the business. The CEO decided that he was going to try and manage it his own way, in a solo way, and it got buried in all the other things that he had to do. The company lost a supplier relationship that had taken 4 years to build. Lost it overnight because this guy was scared of escalating stuff, and it had a huge cost to the company. Now, when we mapped it out with the CEO, guess what? We could point exactly which meeting that decision was made where the CEO decided, I am not the COO, I'm not going to escalate things anymore. Now, on why they were just hearing about this at that time, that question alone was the beginning of the stepping back from the COO. Why is that important? Again, he created the COO, the CEO created the filtering. That filtering resulted into this guy trying to figure it out on his own. And in doing that, it got buried. He didn't have the resources. By the time the supplier was pulling the plug, it was too late. Why? The COO did not believe that he had, the CEO had already created in his mind that the price of escalating things is too high. I will attempt to do it myself. And that cost them a relationship, 4 years building. And that cost is so high simply because people have been taught to filter and or not escalate things to you. Now, this isn't an isolated failure of one CEO or one CEO's temperament. No, research from Harvard has shown that I think it is the Porter Noria study of CEO time allocation across 27 chief executives. They found that the majority of CEOs' working time is reactive. There is no response; it's always reactive. Okay, responding to what surfaces right now, not what has surfaced earlier. And that is very consistent with what I have seen in organizations over 19 years, which people will always react right now to things that could have been caught much earlier. Leadership teams that have quietly optimized not surfacing things early will always pay the cost eventually because they get caught up on certain things. So here is the diagnostic test I run with every client when it comes to friction. Okay. I would ask them that I want you to go back and give me an example of what you've done in the last 5 situations where somebody has escalated something to you. Before it becomes a crisis, okay, while it's still in early warning signs, what has your response been as a leader? And I want you to be honest with that, because when you are, for each one answer you get, if you're honest, you will know exactly where you could have created a problem. Let me explain. You should be able to answer whether your response was, well done, let's deal with it, or whether your response was, why are you bringing this to me right now? Just think about that. Why are you bringing this to me right now? So this week, go back to those 5 incidences where somebody brought something up to you, escalated it to you, and answer honestly, what did you do? Not your intention, not what you intended to do, but what was your actual first sentence? If your first sentence was a question about the problem, okay, meaning, hey, walk me through what happened, what do you need from me, then you're reinforcing escalation and also providing the support that gives people confidence to bring you stuff. However, if your first sentence was about the person, you personalize it. Why didn't you see this earlier? Why did you flag this to me much earlier? Then you're reinforcing concealment. And even if your second, third, fourth was supportive, you have already gotten that person to calibrate what it is they're going to filter bringing to you. So, this is fixable, but not with a values poster. It is fixable with deliberate, visibly rewarding people bringing stuff to you much earlier. Okay? You got to separate how you feel about the problem itself and instead start with thanking the person for bringing that problem to you much faster, much quicker. And when you do it, you will then give them that confidence of knowing, hey, it is okay. Then you create a culture of escalation is important. So run this 5 instance audit this week where you say, what were the last 5 incidents where somebody escalated something to me? Okay, and what was my first incident or my first response? When you've written those down, go and pick the first meeting that you can with your leadership team, whatever it is. Maybe it's your Monday leadership training synchronization or your ops review, and whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And I want you to change exactly one thing. The first response to any early stage problem becomes, thank you for bringing that up to me. That's the first thing. Before anything else gets said, thank them and say thank you. And do it for 8 weeks before you judge whether it worked. Now, after thanking them, of course, you ask them the follow-up questions. Tell me about it. Tell me what you're doing about it. And then support them through the process. I can guarantee you that in 8 weeks, you will begin to get different results. Most importantly, you begin to create a culture that supports escalation rather than creates the barrier for escalation. And the price that you pay for that is way too high for you as a person in charge. So train the behavior that you want, and it takes a little longer to retrain what was already there before. So give it time, because your leadership team isn't hiding things from you because they are weak or dishonest. No. It is only happening because they have been trained to do that. So take your time to undo that, and check your price that is paid when people don't escalate. Checking that price vis-a-vis what you've lost and what you could lose if you continue like that will help you to actually zone in and do what you have to do right now. And when you do that, I can guarantee you that you'll begin to reinforce a culture that supports collaboration, that supports escalation, and it will percolate through to everybody so that the entire organization can feel like, you know what, right here, right now, we can escalate, we get results, we work together. Most importantly, we never let things get to that line where there's no reverse gear, where things just fall apart. And as you do that, remember that together as a leadership team, together as people who believe in business, most importantly, together, we have the audacity to not just create great organizations, but bring other people along so that together we can make this world a better place. Until next time, get your leadership autopsy at the bottom of this video, and most importantly, get to know what the friction is, because when you know what it is, then you can find a good solution to it. That is called diagnosis before prescription, because if you prescribe before you diagnose, that's called malpractice. Until next time, peace.